Alright YouTube, today I'm going to show you how to lap valves. It's a simple process, but some don't know how to. That really helps if you have the correct lapping tool. This one's got really small heads on it. Got it from Harbor Freight, works great. It came in a pack of the smaller ones like this for mowers and smaller valves. And it came with a larger one for, motorcycles and such like that. You can see some discoloration in it from last night because it rained and my toolbox filled up with water. Yay! Anyways, yeah, I know I shouldn't leave my toolbox out. So here's some springs in here. You can see that. You're just gonna pop these off. It's easy to do, really easy to do with two hands. It's hard to do with one. But what you do, you take two screwdrivers, jam them on either side of the valve, and you push it down, and you put your knee on the valve here. Make sure you don't have good pants on, or you got a rag in between. And yes, I've got jammy pants on. So what? I feel like being lazy today. Anyways, so then you jam that down. And there's a clipping system. I'm going to bend that back. It doesn't really matter if you bend that back, it's just a piece that holds it in. But you push this backwards, and then it just pops off, just like that. See, the top one's been done, the bottom one has not been done. Wait for that to focus. There we go. Now that valve should slip out just fine. That's your intake valve. Now you want to inspect your valves. I just felt a valve guide in there. Not a valve guide, but a valve seal, I believe. You want to inspect the valve. You want to look up here. See if we can get it to focus. There, we got a little bit of better view there. Just want to look all the way around. Yeah, there's a bug on it. See that shiny piece right here? I just want to inspect that. Go all the way around. I can see it's very thin on this one. It's not very thick. It's burning up in some spots. When it burns, it's not shiny anymore. It's kind of black. And it's like burnt right there. You can see that. Yeah, you can see that right there. It's burned up right there. And then if you look inside the intake, it's pretty brown. And it shouldn't be brown like that. So we've got a little bit of a leak coming back into the cylinder. And we'll clean that out. Come on, you can focus. There we go. We'll clean that out with some carb cleaner too to get all that crap out of there. This is a 4.5. It does this. Doing this will not change whether it's a 4.5, 3.5, 6.5, whatever. This is a flathead. As long as it's a flathead engine, whether it be Onan or Briggs & Stratton or Tecumseh, it should all be the same. Everything should be close to the same to where you can follow this and do any engine. Now, overhead valves are a different story. You've got the piece up here that's hard to pull off, or it's not hard to, it's just a pain, and you have to get into it and do the valve job that way. It's just more of a pain, and you have to have a valve compressor for that because those valves are usually quite a bit stronger. But so that is just fine. We'll go and clean off the top of this valve real quick. I'll show you how much you grind off. Some people think it's too much, some people think it's just right. I think it's just right. Just a little too much I think is fine. The only thing that will happen with grinding off just a little too much is it gets a valve tick. There's no problem that'll follow, it's just it ticks a little bit. So we can but I don't take off that much anyways. I'll show you what I mean. My El Cheapo ProTech bench grinder. It's like half a horse. it doesn't have that much power. It takes forever for it to wind up. Alright. Just like that. You want to be really careful doing it on there. I was barely pushing on it because you do not want to get it anywhere near that seat. And then I did just a little bit down here where it's dirty because that just needs to be cleaned. As long as you don't get down too far, because that's where it seals, and you don't want to mess with any sealing either here or down here. So this is how much I grind off. I'm just going to barely touch it to the wheel. I'm going to use my right hand. I can do a better job with my right. When I touch it, I'm going to spin it in my fingers to make it as uniform as I can get. Just like that. And then I'll take this side again. The reason why I take it back onto the buffer wheel is it smooths that out. And that's just fine. Now what we want to do is we want to come back over here and lap the valve. It's going to start raining. It's getting dark. It's like 1 in the afternoon, but it's already getting dark because of the rain and such. Yeah, there's a valve seal in there. Oh, that's interesting. So what you want to do, there it is. You want to get some Permatex valve grinding compound. It's a water mix, which is good. That means you can dilute it with water if needed, which can be important sometime. I usually don't dilute it though. If you want to do an extremely good valve job, like you're doing on a motorcycle, what you do is you start off with real gritty stuff, just right out of the bottle. You know, you grind on that for a while, grind on it and pull it out, grind on it like I'm going to show you. And you take some and dilute it with just like a drop of water and do it again. Drop of water, do it again. Make it super, you know, really well done, like really fine. And yeah, that's how you do that. So I'm going to hold the camera like this. Now you're going to take that valving grind or compound, good amount all the way around. It's starting to rain actually. Just like that. I'm going to stick it into this spot where it goes. Grab your valve grinder. Move this closer. That side's a little too big. We can use a smaller side. Stick it on there. Now what I'm doing is I'm going back and forth, and then I pull it out for a second. As long as it'll stick. You pull it out for a second. Yeah, just like that. So you pull the valve out for a second, then you go back in. Then I'll usually spin the valve 160 degrees. Do it again. Sorry this video isn't better. Wish I had more light. See, most people would call it done. I do a little overzealous about it. You always want to take a bit off the back of the valve before you do this. And make sure it's TDC without opening any valves. Top dead center. That's good. You want to wipe off the valve compound with a rag. I'm just going to use my finger for this video. But as you can see, that seat is very, very good all the way around this valve. Then you want to take it off of here and make sure it's good all the way around. And if it's not, just follow the same instructions again. And then once you're ready to put it back in, lube this up in oil. Not this, but from here down. Lube that in oil and pop it back in. Then put the valve back on. I'm going to go move this where I can work on it under a cover place. And I'm going to continue this work and I will show you more. I'll have more light there too. Alright, to pop the valve back on, we've got quite the storm rolling in. You just grab it with your screwdriver, like I did before. Nope. Well, I'll show you. The valve keeper just came out. That's what you're getting on and off. It's this way. You push it back in. It's going to be right here. Push it back in, you push it in and push it back to center, and that's how you lock them. It's easy to do with two hands, two screwdrivers. Put your knee here and you just pop it back on. That's how you pop it off and pop them on. It's the easiest way. So, hope that helps. And we'll get to the exhaust valve next. Alrighty, the storm's gone. About 5 minutes later. It's quite the microburst. As you can see, everything's wet. Including my tools. These have been in the rain before. I don't like them in the rain, no, but I had a lot of other stuff in the rain, customers' equipment, other things that you guys don't know about yet, and I didn't want them in the rain, so I ran and took care of them first before these guys, and then it stopped raining, so it wasn't that much rain anyways. Anyway, so here's the exhaust valve. This one's got quite the case of valve burning. If we can focus in here. There you go. See all that pitting and the burning? See, there's a good burn spot there. The whole valve is just burned up. So that's probably where all the compression was going, was in this valve. So we will take care of this one next, and this time you'll be able to see the front of it. So I've got my two 500 watts here. I got another 500 watt here. I need to put that one back together though. Garbage big, this one. Pretty nice. I just need to weld the legs on solidly because these are not. Yeah, I'm getting off subject. So anyways, so here's the cup. Wipe that off. And we're going to hold the camera again like that. With this much burning, I'm going to do it twice. Apply the amount all the way around. This stuff is cheap anyway, so it's not like it's going to hurt to use a lot. It's like this whole tube, I get them for like $2, $2-3. This is the store I get them from. Nobody ever comes and gets them. They should go on occasions and they'll give them to you for free. Nobody uses them, and everybody knows me in the shop anyways, so we're gonna be maybe get that more centered. It doesn't matter if this is centered or not, it just drives me nuts. So you back and forth, and you pull out for a second and go back in, back and forth. It's not sticking very well. Let me wipe this off with a rag. Let's see if that'll stick a little bit better. Yeah. I'm trying to do this so you guys can see it too. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Clean the valve off. It's looking better. I still see pitting though. Clean the valve off real good. Yeah, it will be done a second time. Gotta clean all this out in here because the sand. I don't think it's sand. It's the compound. Let's call it sand. Compound it does wear after a minute because you know you're steel on steel and you're going to wear it down to make it less gritty. But as you can see, it's looking better. It's looking a little bit better, but I know I can do better than that. See, that part right there is pretty thin. So I'm going to do it a second time off camera and really get into the work, you know, really do it probably for a few minutes, really get that done. The seat on here is looking great. It's the valve that's not looking so great, and I've already ground that down. So there's a precise, like you put a feeler gauge in between this valve and that, the push rod, and you know, there's supposed to be a certain amount of tolerance or space in between there, but I've done this so much that I really just don't use that anymore, unless it's something that needs to be precise, like a four-wheeler or a motorcycle. This is just a lawnmower engine. You know, it's not gonna kill on you if you do it wrong. It'll just run a little differently. So I'm gonna do it a second time, possibly even a third time, probably just a second time though, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, it's looking a ton better. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now you see what I mean by it was all burned. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like, all the way around. Yeah, it's beautiful. And the seat is beautiful too. As you can see there, that's just beautiful. If you ever have a mower that's lacking in power, and it's older, you know, this is 7 years old, it's made in 04. If you ever have a mower that's lacking in power, or it's hard to start, or something like that, you know, a lot of people attack the carburetor, which is, it's a good idea. It's good to have a clean carburetor. They'll attack the spark plug, it doesn't make too much of a difference. You know, they'll attack different things. Attack the valves, honestly. The valves are quite the difference. You know, if you got more compression, you got a lot more power. Cranky V, or his channel that he's got now is Cranky V2. He can vouch for that. He just did He just did a valve job on his 3-horse that was gutless before, but now can mow through deep grass. It still smokes a little bit, but you know what doesn't when it's however many years old. I think that's the 1980s he's got, 1970s or something like that. It's a vertical pull. But yeah, if you ever have any problems with an engine, with power, or starting, attack the valves first. I mean, you can attack other things also, but it's almost always the valves. It's the last thing you'd think of, but it's usually the problem. You can scrape off the carbon buildup if you want to also. This gasket's just fine though. It wasn't leaking at all, and it came off just fine. It didn't, you know, it didn't tear off any of that gasket. So I will reuse the gasket. I almost never do, but I don't have one on hand right now. And it's just a good friend anyway, so if it does start to leak, I can just tear it apart and replace it. It's a pretty skinny gasket though, I like it. But yeah, that's how you lap valves. I'll reassemble this now, and I've got a brand new muffler for it. It's discolored from it running, because this mower runs pretty dang hot. But I will start it up and cold start it on video for you and show you how much better it starts and so on. So somebody's had this off before and didn't do that right, pinching that wire. Alright, see you in a second. Alrighty, YouTube, just got her all thrown back together, all assembled, no bolts or screws missing and no extra bolts or screws, which is always nice. You gotta slowly pull it over here, just feel. Yeah, it does have better compression. It's gonna be a lot easier to start. Gonna prime it up twice, just like that. See what she sounds like. That sounds a whole lot better actually. And before it didn't start at one pull. You'd prime it twice and pull it probably 3 or 4 times and it'd finally start. That's running a whole lot better. And it doesn't smell like raw fuel anymore. It smells like it's fully burning the fuel, you know what I mean? Because before I did any of this, before I, you know, this and that, I'm trying to think, before I lapped the valves or anything like that, it smelled like raw fuel. It didn't smell like it was burning the fuel all the way. I'll show you the old muffler. The old muffler's right here. It's quite a bit bigger, but this design isn't any bigger. Actually, I think it's bigger on that one. It's just a big muffler. These are the stock Briggs & Stratton. And then these are the ones from Ace Hardware. And I actually like the Ace Hardware ones better than the stock Briggs. Stock Briggs are a little bit more expensive. These are a little bit cheaper. They're about $7, I think. $7 for a new muffler is not bad. These are about 12 or more. Never had a problem with these. I've used them in the past, and you don't have that splitting problem like the stock Briggs do when they heat up too hot. Just the way that these are built is just better. And they're quieter than these. These are louder, and these are quieter. These have probably more holes all the way around than these do. They just breathe better than these breathe better than those. I like them better. The only difference is it has a Briggs emblem and it tells you not to touch it. That's really the only difference, other than it being smaller. So yeah, I've always liked these mufflers. They're cheap, they're little, and they work good. It's like 3 to 4 horse, vertical or horizontal. It says vertical only, but I put them on horizontal. You just gotta extend the pipe out a little bit more. Anyways, I can't remember where I was. Customer just called. But I'm thinking job well done. It's running great. I know the customer will be happy with it. She's a good friend of my aunt's. But yeah, I'm happy with it. She'll be happy with it. It's got brand new oil. She had it tuned up not too long ago. I'm just gonna start talking randomly. Sorry about that. But it's got brand new oil in it. Tuned up not too long ago. Spark plug is brand new in it. It's a little dirty, but it's brand new. You can see the electrode it's in great shape, beautiful shape. I used some gasket maker for this because I lost the gasket around that. As long as it doesn't leak oil, that's all that matters to me. All you really need is a gasket this high of it, but I put it all the way around. Yeah, that muffler's cold enough. I'll show you what I mean by the back of that, how it's built better. Because it's not like welded on, it's like, yeah, it's just a better fit, a better make. Now the coating, or I'm believing it's zinc, is peeling off, which is just fine. Doesn't really matter. I usually buff these up anyways and paint them flat black, barbecue black. That's what I usually do, but probably won't on this one. I might if I get bored. But now I just gotta sharpen the blades and I'll get it back to her. She'll be happy. She's had this for ever since it was new. Probably started up easier than when it was new. So I don't believe they lap the valves from factory. I believe they just throw the valves in it and away they go. Which I think they should lap them, but that's me. But see you later, YouTube. Hope you learned something. If you could go up, subscribe, go down to the bottom, comment, and give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, that'd be great. See you later, YouTube. Bye.